For 15 years after Yudhishthira took the throne of Hastinapura, the Pandavas honored Dhritarashtra and Gandhari like their own parents. But Bhima could not forget the insult of the dice game, the long exile, the war. One day, unable to contain his bitterness, Bhima clapped his hands before the blind king and boasted, "With these hands, I killed Duryodhana and his allies." Dhritarashtra's heart broke. Quietly, he decided to leave. The next morning, when Yudhishthira arrived to pay respects, Dhritarashtra spoke gently. "My son, you have shown us kindness beyond measure. But it is time for us to walk the forest path, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa." Yudhishthira pleaded, devastated. "If I have erred, forgive me. Take the kingdom only, don't leave us." Then the sage Vyasa appeared. "Let them go, Yudhishthira. This too is dharma." On an auspicious day, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari prepared to depart. Kunti stepped forward. "My sons, I will accompany them." Bhima fell at her feet. "Mother, if you wished only to leave us for the forest, why did we fight this terrible war?" Kunti placed a trembling hand on his head. "So you would not live cheated and deprived. Let me go now, as my heart commands." And so, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, along with Vidura and Sanjaya, walked toward the hermitages. There, they shed royal silks for bark garments and embraced penance. Vidura sat unmoving in deep meditation until, at last, his soul departed. When the hermitage prepared his cremation, Vyasa arrived and said simply, "Do not burn his body. Let him rest as he is." Years passed. The sage Narada came to Hastinapura. Yudhishthira asked with hope and fear, "Have you seen my mother, my uncle? How fare they?" Narada's voice was tender. "They lived on air, on water, on the barest food lost in prayer. Then a forest fire rose around them." Dhritarashtra told Sanjaya, "Go, save yourself." And the three Dhritarashtra, Gandhari and Kunti sat in meditation and offered themselves to the flames. Yudhishthira wept. Narada consoled him. "Do not blame Agni. This was a sacrifice, a return to the cosmic fire." The Pandavas visited the blackened grove, performed the last rites, and returned with heavy hearts. Far away, in Dwaraka, a different doom gathered. For 36 years, the Yadavas had slid into arrogance and decay. When the great sages Vishwamitra, Kanva, and Narada visited, the drunken youths mocked them, disguising Krishna's son Samba as a pregnant woman. The sages' curse fell like iron. The child would be a mace, the weapon of their destruction. The club was crushed and cast into the sea. But fate needs only a splinter. Soon, omens thickened, and Krishna ordered his people to the seashore at Prabhasa. There, intoxication spilled into madness. Old grudges ignited. Swords flashed. Fists of grass turned to iron maces in Krishna's hands and in the hands of the rioters. Fathers struck sons. Friends slew friends. The clan destroyed itself. Daruka, Krishna's charioteer, found Balarama by the sea. As Daruka sped to Hastinapura to summon Arjuna, Balarama closed his eyes, and from his mouth rose the thousand-hooded serpent, returning to the ocean. His body stilled on the shore. Krishna walked alone into a quiet wood and sat beneath a tree. A hunter named Jara saw a glint through leaves' feet that looked like a deer and loosed his arrow. Realizing his mistake, he fell at Krishna's feet. The Lord forgave him with a smile. "This was my destiny and yours." Krishna's soul rose and the age turned. Arjuna reached the grieving ruins of Dwaraka, gathered the women and children, and led them inland. On the road, bandits attacked. Arjuna strung Gandiva, but it felt heavy as stone. The celestial weapons would not come to mind. His arrows fell astray. Many were taken, stricken, he placed the survivors under the protection of Vajra, Krishna's grandson, and went to Vyasa in anguish. "Why has my strength left me?" he asked. Vyasa's answer was gentle and immovable. "All cycles end. The Yadavas' fate was their own doing. Krishna knew and departed. Your work too is complete. Prepare yourself." Back in Hastinapura, Arjuna told Yudhishthira all that had come to pass. The king looked toward the western sky and spoke words as old as time. "Time consumes everyone. We are no exception. Let us be ready for our final journey."